Hey, my name is Ryan Mullins. I am doing a project, or my informative speech on El Salvador. But before I get going with that, let me introduce you to my audience. This is my fussy son Noah and my beautiful mom Carla. This is Sage, my wife Karen, my sister Sarah, my brother Josh, and Gary, who doesn't smile much. Alright. Now, the reason I chose El Salvador is because a family member of mine will be going there later in the year, and it interested me, so I thought that I would learn more about it, and that way, she would know more about it too. So, El Salvador is a very rich culture. It has a unique history, kind people, and some very interesting food. El Salvador has a history of conflict. It had to gain their independence from the Spanish. They were not given their independence until 1840, and that took over 30 years. There was also a civil war lasting 12 years, and that was relatively recent. It was in 1980 and lasted until 1992. The United States played a big part in that, which caused a pile of immigration to come into the United States from El Salvador. The Civil War was started by the assassination of the Archbishop Romero, and more than 70,000 El Salvadorians lost their lives, which is terrible. But El Salvador was deeply affected by the war because their people and their culture are very deeply interconnected. The people of El Salvador are known for their very hard workingness and their friendliness. They have a very good attitude towards this life and their neighbor. They look out for one another, and they are very cooperative. El Salvador has been named the land of the smile because of its friendly people. And El Salvadorians are very hard workers because in that culture it's respected to have a job and work hard. And if you don't have a job, and you're considered lazy, and it's very much frowned upon. So, also with any culture, food is a big part of any celebration, and El Salvador is not any different. So, some common dishes are pupusas, tamales, chilate, and I bet you've never heard of the papusa. And whenever I heard it, I didn't know what it was either. So let me tell you what it is. It is a handmade tortilla. It's filled with beans, cheese, or meat. In any of that order. It can be made so big. They're in the Guinness Book of World Records because they made the biggest one. It fed over 5,000 people. Also, the religion of El Salvador is primarily Catholic. So they celebrate a lot of the same holidays as Americans do, like Easter or Christmas, or American Christians do. And one holiday American Christians don't celebrate that El Salvadorians do is the Day of the Dead. That is November 1st, and it is to remember all your loved ones lost in the past. So El Salvador is a country rich in history, customs, and they're very willing to fight for their independence, which they have proved 2 times. Their culture is an example of the passion that the people have for their country. They love it so much, and they work so hard to take care of their families and their neighbors. Their family, however, is the most important part of El Salvadorians' culture. Socioeconomics don't really matter that much to El Salvadorians. The mother is in charge of the house and the primary caregiver. The father, he is the decision maker, the overall decision maker, and he's the worker and provider for the family. A lot of the times the father, due to work, he goes out of town, and so he's away for long periods of time. But the family still knows that the father runs the show. You know, he makes the final decision, so they don't act up. A lot of the time, the children have to drop out of school because they are very devoted to the family, and in that respect, they have to take care of their younger brothers and younger sisters. But a lot of the time, they know the value of an education, but they still just don't have a choice, because a lot of the time they have to watch their younger brothers or sisters because their father's gone, or they have to get a job, or just primary things around the house. Hopefully you have a better understanding of El Salvador and why it's worth visiting and learning about. They have a very rich culture with a unique history and very kind people, and they're willing to fight for what they have. When thinking about El Salvador, please keep in mind that they have a difficult history full of several fights for their freedom. They're very hardworking and very kind people. The family is the most important value, and it's definitely a place worth visiting. Thank you very much. My name is Ronnie Mullins. I hope you enjoyed this. Later.